All right, guys, before we jump in and get started, I just want to say we are going to be talking a little bit about spoilers in this video. What's happened is that apparently in France, all 6 episodes were leaked and people are watching them and people are posting spoilers. I've seen a lot of them. I don't think I've seen all of them, but people are asking me questions about them in my inbox, and I am going to be answering those as to the best of my ability without having seen the whole episode. So if you do not want to be spoiled at all about what's in the episodes, don't listen to this video, okay? You've been warned. All right, guys, welcome back. Let's dive back into your asks here. They cut the lines mentioning Beth, Glenn, and Merle in the final. So I have not seen the entire thing, so I'm not sure if this is true. I understand you're probably saying that because people have watched the full episode. So 2 things. Even if they're not in the full episodes that were released, I think there's still a chance we'll see them in the episode that we see, because we actually have had, well, I don't know if we've seen this with The Walking Dead, but I have seen things with other shows and other films where sometimes they release different versions of them in different countries. And like I said, I can't think of a time specifically we saw that with The Walking Dead, but I have seen it before. But here's the thing. If the line is not in there, I'm going to be disappointed because I really wanted to hear him say it. But that actually makes the idea of the leaked script pages all the more compelling, because that would mean that maybe, okay, first of all, if they were written in the script pages and then they decided not to put them in the final cut of the episode, all that means is that that's where Daryl's head is at, and that's what he was thinking about. But maybe they decided it was too spoilery and they just didn't want to put that in the final. They just decided to cut it. But that does show that internally that's what he's thinking about. Now, obviously, it would be really nice to hear him say that in the show. But it also shows that those were leaked on purpose. And guys, if that's the case, they were leaked specifically for us. I mean, think about the sequence here. First, they leaked the pages, which gave us Beth's name, and really, we are the only fandom that's going to care about that in a big way. Other people might go, oh, that's nice, but not anything like we care about it, right? It also leaked that in those same pages that Isabelle was going to die, so they were telling us that. And not until after that did they leak the kiss. So they're just trying to prepare us and be like, okay, this might be a lot for you, but just so you know, this is where we're going with it. You see what I mean? Like, those are gifts for us, for the TD fandom, and nobody else is paying attention to those. So I really do hope that we hear the line, that this is wrong, and that we do hear the line. But if not, in a way, it makes it almost more interesting that they leaked that and then didn't even put it in the final episode. You see what I mean? So let's just wait and see. But try to think of that as a good thing, actually, if it doesn't end up being in there, because that means that was leaked specifically for us so that we would pick up on it, so that we would analyze it, and it just practically proves where it's going. Not only because her name is mentioned and, like I said, he's clearly thinking about her in this moment, but if Beth is really dead, why would you take that out? Like, I mean, if he said something about Glenn, well, Glenn's not coming back. What is the point in taking that out? You know what I mean? So it just goes to show, to me, all the more that this is where they're going, and they're letting us know that. Maybe they wanted to let us know that because they felt bad that we all thought she was going to be in season 2 and she's not going to be, or something. I don't know. But that really feels like a hint to me that they leaked for us. And anyway, let's just hope that they put the line back in for us, or that it's still there. Okay. You know what? After watching that segment of The Return, the scene where Daryl is asked on whether or not he has ever been in love hits different now. Oh, okay. I didn't read that very well. So after reading that segment of The Return, meaning the one where he talked about Beth, the scene where Daryl is asked whether or not he has ever been in love hits different now. Yeah, it totally does. It totally does, because we can confirm that now. Sylvie asked him that in the first season of Daryl Dixon, the spinoff. And yeah, we that's funny, because we all said that. We were like, we think he's thinking of someone in particular, a blonde, from season 4. He's not thinking about Leah. He's not thinking about Connie. Clearly, he's not thinking about Carol, So, yeah, for sure. I love that. Thank you. Are you able to watch the AMC interview, Daryl Dixon, The Return? I can't watch without a subscription, but I'd love to know what Norman said. Not that it's anything new. Bethyl has been confirmed canon so many times. Yeah. So again, go back and watch that video from 2 or 3 days ago. I have everything in there. I'm sure this came in before I posted that. But yeah, we've known for a long time, and it's obvious to anybody paying attention who is not incredibly biased. But yeah, I'm glad that they are being a little bit more on the nose with it now. That's actually really nice. So, and you guys, hey, I mean, the fact that they are being more on the nose with it just goes to show, I mean, why didn't they confirm this all the seasons before this one? You know, why didn't they confirm it in 5, in 6, in 7, in 8, in 9, in 10, in 11? They're doing it now because it's going to become relevant now. So whether we see her or not in season 2, everyone should take that as very, very hopeful. Okay. I heard we're going to get a Beth mention in Daryl Dixon season 2. Do you know if that's true? So this just goes back to the same thing. We don't know for sure. It was definitely in the leaked pages, so it was there at some point. Now I'm being told it's been taken out, and I honestly don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. But I'm assuming that that's coming from people who have seen the leaked episodes, and they're telling us that it has been taken out. And if that's true, that does suck. I was really looking forward to hearing that line, but like I just said, that just is all the more suspicious. So, all right. Spoiler for the Carol and Daryl reunion, so anyone avoiding them. So yeah, same thing. If you don't want the spoilers, skip over this part. My first reaction was that, wow, they really just copy-pasted the post-terminus hug straight in there. But on rewatch, Daryl's body language also really reminds me of when he reunited with Team Family post being held captive by Negan. Interesting. The facial expression, the hair in the face. I know. I actually kind of laughed at the hair in the face. I was like, oh, there's Daryl's signature hair in the face so you can't see his eyes. Very hunched in on himself and hiding his face in someone else's neck. Not to call Daryl a little boy looking for comfort here, specifically, but you get where I'm going with that. Yeah. Well, okay, so personally, and maybe it's just the thing that's most relevant here, I think it is 100% supposed to mirror Terminus, and I'll get into that again in a minute, because they're replaying everything in season 4 and 5 that leads up to this. But I do think it's really interesting that you're also comparing it to him and Rick in, that was 708, right? Because I have always believed that 708 was a foreshadow for him and Rick coming back together after they were separated. So, you know, Rick left, was taken into the CRM, was gone for many years, and then by the time he came back, we're assuming that he came back, we're assuming right now that he came back before Carol left, and that Rick is who she was talking about on the radio, but we don't actually know that for sure. We'll have to wait and see what she says to Daryl about Rick. But anyway, the point is, by the time Rick got back to Alexandria, Daryl was gone, and so I really do believe everything about that scene is a foreshadow of the two of them coming back together after all of this, you know, after Daryl finds Beth and comes back from Europe and all of that. So I do think it's really interesting that you're throwing that in there. But yeah, definitely the Carol reunion, I actually think it's really sweet. I actually really liked it. But there is so two things I thought about it. Okay, first of all, yes, that it mirrors Terminus, which means they're kind of replaying parts of season 5 leading up to them finding Beth. The other thing I thought is that there's actually, and not that I have a whole lot to analyze because the clip is so short, and you know, you're just kind of, it's when people are recording their screens, it's very blurry and it's pixelated and it's hard to figure out what's going on. But there's actually, even saying all of that I just said, there's a lot of Beth symbolism in that clip. Number one, the Morning Star. That's where we see him being a badass with the Morning Star, killing people and walkers and all of that. And the Morning Star is linked to Sirius symbolism, so it is very much a Beth symbol, okay? It's also kind of a war symbol, you know, we're going to fight the evil kind of symbol. And the floor, if you look in that passage, is black and white diamond pattern. We saw diamonds around Beth. We've seen black and white around them because of the shoelaces and the ties around Daryl's legs in 5. And then we saw the black and white diamonds in the final season when him and Judith passed out and they were laying side by side, just like Beth and Daryl in Inmates. So I'm seeing a lot of symbolism there. And you might say, okay, well, you know, what does that mean? How do we interpret that? I just wonder if it's also a parallel for when Daryl finally sees Beth. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of foreshadowing that. So we have the reunion with Carol. Think about it this way. If we go back to season 5, Daryl and Carol were separated, right? Because Rick kicked her out of the prison and he hadn't seen her in a while. And then they were at Terminus and then she was at Terminus. And I'm actually thinking that I don't know because I haven't seen the episode, but I'm thinking the episode where they reunite in Daryl Dixon season 2. I wonder if it'll be something similar to Terminus, where he doesn't know she's there, but he's trying to fight his way out, and she's trying to get in to help him because she knows he's there. I mean, I wonder how many parallels there will be to Terminus, so we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, but maybe they are foreshadowing when he finally sees Beth, and that's why all that Beth symbolism is there. And so it just makes me wonder exactly how that scene's going to play out. That's all. I mean, it's total conjecture on my part, but it's really, really interesting. So those are kind of my thoughts on that. But definitely, I did feel like he's a little boy looking for comfort. I did feel like it's just their relationship again. He's very happy to see her, and he gets very emotional about it. But it's not a romantic thing. It's a family thing, right? So it's actually a really nice scene. And, you know, the fact that there's a lot of Beth symbolism in it is just icing on the cake. All right. Daryl and Beth have both had 2 relationships now, Leah and Isabelle and Zack and Jimmy. Do you think all the 3 surrounding Beth and Daryl could be about them being each other's lucky number 3 relationship? Yes. I actually noticed this come in the other night, and I totally deep dived into this. Okay. So here's the thing. In fact, I'm going to pull open so that I have my notes and I'm not missing anything. Okay, so I did talk about the other day about the kiss and how it's a pattern that Gimple follows, right? And I hope I don't repeat too much of that, but it's just the more I think about it, the more sense it makes. Much like I said yesterday, or 2 days ago, whenever I posted that, it is following the pattern of having a relationship right before the soulmate relationship. But I started thinking, because you asked this, I started thinking about this a little bit more. And one thing, I guess I'm going to focus on 2 things here. Number 1, why did they feel the need to have Daryl kiss Isabelle? Was it completely necessary to the storyline? No, it wasn't. I mean, if she's just going to die in a few episodes and nothing's going to come of it, they could have still done her death scene and he would have still been sad, and it still would have been very tragic without the kiss. You know, they didn't really need that. You could argue, just to play devil's advocate, that this whole show, the spinoff, I mean, is about him finding true love. So it's definitely relevant to the theme and what they're going for. But did they have to have them kiss in order to move forward with the story, especially when she's not going to be his long-term love interest? No, they really didn't. So why did they do that? I'm sure the haters will say that they were shit baiting and they did it just to piss us off or something. But guys, I'm telling you, that's not the reason. Think about it this way. We did not, and I was totally thinking about this morning, and I was like, wow, that is one aspect we totally did not hit on. Okay. We did not see Daryl kiss Leah. And at the time, if you guys remember, they had Lynn Collins, who played Leah, on The Talking Dead after Find Me, right? And I think it was after Find Me. And she made some comment. They also had one of the writers there who, I'm sorry, I do not remember her name. It wasn't Gimple or King or any of the big ones that you would know. It was just another writer who works on the show and had penned that episode. So she was on there as well. And Lynn Collins started saying, oh, well, it was during COVID, so they couldn't have us kiss or anything. And that female writer, whatever her name was, she jumped in and said, oh, actually, we wouldn't have done that anyway. Like, we would not have had a kiss because we know how sensitive the Daryl fan base is about his love life. Now, that made sense in the moment, but I was thinking about it and I was going, you know, I didn't realize it at the time what a thin argument that is, because, yeah, I get that the fans are sensitive about Daryl and there's the shipping wars, and yeah, totally, 100%, I get all of that, but they have not shied away from kissing in the show. We see lots of kissing going on all over the place, right? We have, let's see, Rick and Lori, Rick and Jesse, Rick and Michonne. We have Carl and Enid, who are teenagers. We have Rosita and Abraham, and then Sasha and Abraham. And then, they don't shy away from that. And I get that Daryl is the big character and the cash cow and, everything we always talk about. But even so, other than not wanting to piss off the fans, which we could say that maybe it was that they weren't ready to piss off the certain ships yet, okay? But given that it was Leah and she was going away anyway, and they had him sleeping with her, shacking up with her, why would it have been such a big deal to show them kiss? I don't think it would have been. Now, it really could be that COVID kept them from doing that, but what I've come to realize, what the realization I had has to do with this pattern. Think about Beth's two relationships that you mentioned here. We didn't see much about Jimmy. He was a minor character in the second season, and we really didn't see much of him alone or the two of them together. I mean, he was just her boyfriend. He was kind of in the background. He wasn't a big character. But we didn't see her and Jimmy kiss. We did see her and Zack kiss, and it was very much like Sasha and Bob's kissing in that it was pretty chaste. You know, it wasn't like porno tongue makeout time or anything like that. And then soon after he died. I honestly think that this has been planned for a while. I'm talking like since before Leah, and they didn't have him kiss Leah because they are paralleling the relationships that Daryl is having with the relationships Beth had. Exactly like you're saying here, but it goes so much further than just the rule of threes. I will hit on the rule of threes because that's true too. But I believe they didn't have him kiss Leah because we didn't see Beth kiss Jimmy. And they're just, like, it's not a big deal either way, but they're just creating a parallel there. They're creating a pattern. We did see Beth kiss Zack. In fact, Daryl saw Beth kiss Zack. And then very quickly after that, he died. Okay, now we're seeing Daryl kiss Isabelle, which is his second relationship, and very quickly after that, she's going to die. And this is part of the pattern, too, because that happened with Bob and Sasha, right? They kissed. Very soon after that, Bob died. Now, it's not always true across the board. I talked about having the previous relationship that's somewhat toxic and then finding their soulmate relationship. I will say that we can't really say this across the board. For example, with Carol and Tobin, I honestly can't remember if we saw her kiss Tobin. I was thinking she did, but now I'm thinking maybe she didn't. And again, they kind of shacked up together. They were living together, but I just don't know if we ever saw them kiss on screen. If I'm wrong about that, okay, I don't remember for sure. But we didn't really see her and Ed kiss, her first husband, because why would he? Why would we? He's kind of a scumbag and nobody cared, right? But the point is, it's just more of the pattern, okay? I was even thinking, and this is just me like really going down a rabbit hole, but I was even thinking that in terms of having a previous relationship that's kind of toxic, Beth and Jimmy might actually fit that pattern too. And this is such a tiny little nuanced thing that it really doesn't even matter. It's like water way, 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 way under the bridge. But we had this line in season 2 where, when Beth was going through her suicide arc, where she was talking to Maggie, and Maggie was basically trying to guilt her out of committing suicide. And she was saying, well, what about me? And what about Dad? You're not considering anyone else's feelings. And then she brings up Jimmy and says, what about Jimmy? And I'm paraphrasing here. I'm probably not going to get it quite right, but Beth says something along the lines of, oh, so I've been dating him for 2 months and now we're married, And the reason that's kind of sticking out in my head now is that I think Jimmy was just kind of a relationship of convenience for her. He was there. He was her age. She wanted to have a boyfriend. And I'm not saying any of that to bash Beth or say she was toxic necessarily, but I don't think Jimmy was particularly toxic. We weren't ever given that impression about him. And Herschel seemed to like him. So, you really can't go wrong with that. But the point is, Beth consciously knew that this was not someone she would spend the rest of her life with. And if that's the case, and certainly whatever feelings she did have for him were not keeping her from considering suicide, then it becomes like an edge of toxicity to the relationship, just because we're not talking about really committed people who are very devoted to each other, right? So it's always going to fall apart eventually if that's the case. Anyway, so like I said, doesn't really matter. That was a long time ago, but I think this is just part of the pattern that Gimple likes to follow. And the more that I think about it and the more that I deep dive into it, the more I'm seeing it. So that's why I say, even though I don't love that Daryl kissed Isabelle, I'm actually okay with it because that's the pattern. Very soon after that, she dies. And the next thing that's going to happen is Daryl's going to meet his soulmate. So let's put it this way. If by some amazing chance we're wrong and it's not Beth, either way, he's going to meet his soulmate next. Like, that's the next big thing that's going to happen. And guys, her name was in the freaking leaked script. Like, it's not going to be anybody else, right? And Emily is being so sus right now about everything and things she keeps putting on social media, okay? It's not going to be anybody else. But the point is, it's coming next. It's like the next thing that's going to happen. You just have to look at the pattern, right? I mean, even if we look at Sasha and Bob in season 5, it kind of felt like a long time before Abraham and her got together, because it was a lot of episodes and there's, the time jumps for us in the year. So Bob died in, what episode did he die on? I want to say 503? 505? No, I think it was 503. And then Sasha and Abraham didn't get together really until late in season 6. But that's because, I mean, most of season 5 happened in about a week, maybe a little longer than that. And then, of course, we have, like, the show would go away after episode 8 and then not come back for 3 or 4 months. And then, you know, you got through the second half of season 5 and then it went away again for the summer and didn't come back until October. So it felt like a long time. But in terms of how much time had passed in the show, it was not long at all before they got together. So anyway, that's just what I wanted to say about that. Thank you for sending that in. That really was a great insight. And it really kind of sent me tumbling in all directions thinking about that. Next one. Connie is mentioned in episode 4 right after Isabelle dies. Carol says to Daryl, don't you want to get back home to Connie, Judith, and RJ? Okay, I don't know about this. I haven't seen this particular spoiler either, so interesting. I will say that it's obvious that Carol, I don't mean Melissa McBride, I mean Carol, is a Connie and Daryl shipper. But honestly, I think it's just because she really just wants him to be happy and to find someone. And let's face it, it might be a little bit biased on her part because she likes Connie. So it's one of those things where you kind of want like your best friends to get together kind of a thing. So that's actually kind of sweet, you know, on Carol's part. She's just trying to make him feel better, I would assume. But that doesn't, I mean, we know he's not going back yet. We know he's not going to meet up with Connie anytime soon. He's going to end up in Spain for season 3. So very interesting. Yeah. I'm sure you're aware by now, but France Paramount Plus has posted all the episodes in one go by mistake, but people have downloaded them to be watched. It seems like many people in TD have already watched these episodes, and they've not said Beth returns or there's a coda with her returning. Does that mean we have to wait another year for season 3 for her possible return? It appears that way. I also saw a TD post that said he never mentions her, so why would they leak the script that mentions her and then take it out of the show? So yeah, I've already kind of answered this the last few days, but we hope for a coda. We hope that there will be something else that that the screeners have not seen. That's what we're holding out hope for. But I've also answered, you know, is in terms of leaking the script, if he doesn't mention her and that line was taken out, then that was 100% leaked for us. Like, we're the only ones who are paying attention to that, guys. So it has to be for us. And that should tell you what's going on and where they're headed. So just check out the last couple of videos I've posted for a more detailed answer to that. I feel like the writing in Daryl Dixon and also The Ones Who Live has been unnatural and overly dramatic. I don't know if I'm the only one who feels like this, but while I watch it, I'm constantly reminded that it's a staged TV show. It doesn't feel authentic to me. The dialogue feels forced, like it doesn't fit the characters. It breaks my heart to admit this, but I'm starting to think I might prefer it if Beth didn't return. The only thing worse than her not coming back would be seeing them mishandle her character and relationship with Daryl. While I see all the signs that she's alive and have been wishing for it to be true for years, I'm considering whether I would actually feel better if things were left at the beautifully authentic vibes and raw emotions of Still and Alone. Well, I mean, I haven't felt that way about the writing. I've actually thought it's been really good, especially in the Daryl spinoff. I mean, even though the first season we didn't have Beth and we didn't have as many clues, although we still had a lot of clues, you guys. I actually have thought the writing has been really, really good. I've been a big fan of it. So, I mean, that's just a personal thing. You know, maybe you're not as big a fan of the writing as you used to be, but given how well I feel like they've handled the arcs in both season 1 and like I said, even Carol's arc from the spoilers I've seen is really touching, and I think they're handling it really well. So I'm actually excited to see what happens with Beth and how they handle that. The other thing is we don't actually know. I'm sure Zabel will still be the showrunner. Like, we haven't seen any indication that he won't be. But at the same time, I think this is something that Gimple and Kang may oversee personally, just because it's such a big deal. And they were so big a part of it when it was first introduced in season 4. And then it's amazing how many of the episodes where we felt like there was a ton of Beth symbolism that were written at least partially by Angela Kang. So, you know, it's up to you. You're going to feel how you're going to feel, and that's fine. But I just disagree. I think I'm really excited to see where they go with it, and I think the writing's been really good. So, yeah, but thanks for sending that in. The only other thing I wanted to touch on, too, that I haven't seen discussed too much, maybe it's pretty obvious, but the fact, we've talked before about how much of a proxy Isabelle is for Beth. I mean, we had the fact that she's a woman of faith. We had the scars on her wrists, right? We have all kinds of stuff like that. And so even though she has a lot of Carol in her, she is also, seems like very much a stand-in for Beth. So the fact that even though we didn't see Beth and Daryl kiss, at the same time, we had this moment of romance for them, right? And then right after that, he lost her. And then right when he finally found her again, she was shot and taken from him. It does seem to me like they're doing the exact same thing with Isabelle. We did actually see them kiss, so it was this moment of romance, and then not too long after that, she's going to get hurt, and he's going to lose her. So it's, all I'm saying is it's just more of a proxy to Beth, and I couldn't tell for sure based on the spoilery clip that I watched, but it didn't look to me like she was bitten. It seemed there was a wound. It looked like he was trying to put, a bandage and pressure on the wound. So she was either shot or she was stabbed. And I don't know which it'll be, but if she was shot, it's not in the head. I mean, it's on her torso, more so like near her heart kind of a thing. But even so, if she was shot, we'll just have to wait and see. That's even more of a Beth proxy. So that's all I'm saying, is that we have this going on, and like I said, just the more I think about it and the more I look at it and deep dive into it and think about past seasons and all of that, the more convinced I am that we are right on track and she's the next thing that's coming up. So I'm even though I've seen the spoilers, I'm really looking forward to the next episodes. I think they're going to be great. And I hope everyone is doing okay with that. I know that there's been a lot of concern about things, but don't let it concern you. You guys, I've literally been saying this for 10 years, right? Don't let it worry you. The symbolism is still there. Just because they're doing X, Y, and Z doesn't mean that symbolism has gone anywhere. It's still there. It's still potent. And, I mean, look where we are now. We have, even though Beth hasn't appeared, I mean, we've said this about Daryl and Carol. I remember a long time ago saying this, and I think I got some hate for it from the Carolers, and so I probably just didn't quite say it this way again, but I remember saying, look, I read the symbolism. I'm really not just saying what I want to have happen. 100% I want it to be Beth, but I'm really not just saying that because it's what I want. I'm saying that because I'm reading it in the symbolism, and this is what everything is pointing to. And if at any point I saw symbolism that pointed to Daryl marrying Carol or Connie or somebody else, I would tell you that's what I'm seeing. You know what I mean? I wouldn't, and I think what I said is that this is the unfortunate thing about some of the other ships. They're just saying what they want to have happen, but they're not actually paying attention to the symbolism, which is directly from the writers telling us where the story is going, right? And now, after getting a lot of hate and people saying, oh, well, you're just delusional because the girl you want him to be with is dead and Carol's there. Well, look where we're at now. Everything is pointing to Beth's imminent return, and we have confirmation that there was romance there, so we were right about that, in season 4, and confirmation that Daryl and Carol are never going to be romantic, so we were right about that, and we can just keep going. And I've been saying this for 10 years, and now we're finally seeing it come to fruition, so don't let it worry you. It's still there, and it's actually stronger than it's ever been. So, okay. I'm going to shut up now. I don't know if I'll do another video before episode 2 airs, but if not, then I will be back next week with my analysis of that. Everyone have a fabulous weekend.